Go rogue. Go, oh, oh, go.
Yo. That's an interesting flute.
Oh, oh, oh,
Oh, man.
go rogue.
Still gotta figure out how to add my Facebook to this shit.
Warning: if you're faint of heart or easily offended, this show is not for you.
I don't give a damn about what you saying, bitch, you in the way. Closed case, my nigga beat the charge just like yesterday. In your face, I'ma go hard and make sure you see the cake. Keep the pace, ain't no one fucking with me, this not a race. Doing the shit that I want, I'm never gonna stop, I'm never gonna give in. Making my way to the top, I told you to ride, I told you to get in. Now you can't eat out my pot, it's filled to the top, and I'm about to dig in. You say I was doing you wrong.
Welcome to the Good Rogue Podcast. What are you talking about when you want to add it back onto your face so it publishes it to your Facebook too?
Right. It kicked me off.
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass because you have to re-add it every couple of months. It sucks.
Yeah, I don't like that shit.
Hit this comments up here. We got about 12 people watching. What's up, Westy? What's going on? He quits. He's a quitter.
We don't need you to do that, bro. we don't need you to do that. What up, Paco?
What's up? Yeah, it was an interesting subject. I got to thinking about it, and I was like, let's talk about that, because what got me on it, what's going on, guys? What kind of got me on it was I was looking at statistics for small business, and typically, most small businesses, number one, fail in the first year, right? But if they don't fail in the first year, usually by the third year, like a large percentage fail by the third year. And I thought, let me kind of compare that. And I started looking, and I was like, well, we're right about that. What are we? Because what was COVID? It was 2020. Yeah. So we're in 2024. So we've been seeing a decline for a little while now. But it just seems like this week alone, I even asked Dina, I said, are you seeing the posts of people saying they're quitting? And she's like, yeah, I'm seeing them. So there's more and more people out there kind of announcing their exit from the American Bully.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust a lot of them. I think it's just it's momentary for them. That's how they feel right now. But I have a different take on shit like that,
Oh, you think so? They may be doing it just to garner some attention, trying to get people to
I mean, yes and no. I mean, some people are attention-seeking individuals constantly. I stub my toe, I'll make a Facebook post.
You got a peeker right back there.
Oh, yeah. I know. There's Chihuahua pups in here.
Oh, you tell her, come on in, it don't matter.
Yeah. So it's for me, I feel like there's people who are genuine in what they say, and there's some people that post for attention. A lot of people want to be talked off the ledge.
Right.
So I don't know. Well, she looked like Westy, right? He felt like quitting this morning. And we all have our moments. We all have our moments where we're like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Right.
I've had plenty of those.
And that's a normal feeling. That's an absolutely normal feeling, because the lifestyle we live is fucking crazy. We're crazy.
Yeah.
All of you who have multiple dogs, there's something chemically wrong inside your brain.
Fair enough.
And
Fair enough.
you know, I'm guilty of suffering from the same ailment, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you see a lot. I mean, we made the transition from the West Coast to Ohio in 2020, and you saw. I mean, we had just had a litter, uh, 2019, end of 2019, and right when COVID kind of started, you know, and they were gone. Like they were gone quick.
Yeah.
And then every litter from then on, you know, even moving out here with no like no network, right? Being fairly new to the area and just kind of jumping on the scene out here, our litters were still gone,
Right.
you know. And then you see the slow saturation of the market, the heavy influx of pups everywhere, and people weren't, you know, getting. And I'm not saying, you know, people are still getting high dollar for their pups, right?
Right.
But the majority of us are not. The majority of us um, have pups longer than we used to, you know. So
Right.
I think if you got into this in the COVID time because you were stuck at home and you thought what a great way to maintain a living and a lifestyle with no real passion behind what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're gonna fail. You know, you have no purpose in this breed but to make money. You're gonna fail.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
in a lot of ways, in an emerging breed, I will say that, because if you look at breeding an established breed versus breeding an emerging breed, there's definitely two different routes to it. If they would have picked any other dog, let's say they picked the Connie Corso, right? And they've got a reputable breeder and they got two breed stock dogs from them, they probably got very decent dogs, would say very much of their breed type, right? So that would they weren't entering into breeding a Connie Corso behind the ball. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were kind of in line with what they might be able to make little improvements here and there, but overall they got a pretty good breed stock dog. With the American Bully, number one, we have a floating target. That means if you buy a dog today, by the time it grows up in 2 years, it can be irrelevant. So you have to deal with that. And then you have to deal with a lot of the fact that because of this emerging breed, you have breeders that's going to keep the absolute best dogs they produce. And lots of times the dogs that they sell, they might not best necessarily be terrible, but they're definitely not the premium dogs of that litter. So if you come into the American Bully, and number one, you've done very little homework, and you just say, I'm going to buy a bully, and you start Facebooking and Googling, oh, good to God, outside of Facebook, you're in trouble. Like out there on Google land, you're not going to find what you're looking for.
Right.
Inside Facebook, if you can find your way into the community, your odds are a little bit better. But still, you're still probably not going to get the best of the best.
Right.
So you immediately buy a puppy, you're immediately behind. And then you do a breeding, and it's the same thing over and over again. You have a female that lacks, you breed it to some well-known stud because you're trying to get caught up, right? And then it starts all over again. Now, this guy has a dog off of a female that lacked to a good stud. He's going to keep the best, and he's going to push off everything that's like mom. It's just a never-ending cycle. You know what I mean?
Right.
People have to do some homework to figure out, oh, I need to buy this caliber of dog. If I'm going to get into this, I need to start with this caliber of dog. And if I do that, it's going to help me shortcut everything.
Yeah.
But a lot of people look
Yeah.
at the most successful in our community, and that's the who are the easiest people to find, the most successful ones, right?
Yeah, right.
Because everybody's talking about them and everybody shows pictures of their dogs. So they have this unrealistic view that I'm going to have a Lambo in 3 years or a Porsche in 3 years, or, I'm
Yeah.
going to do all this crazy shit in 3 years.
Yeah, but yeah.
That's
In
not
3 years, you ain't getting the Lambo. You're stuck in limbo. You know what I mean? You don't know what to do. If you don't come into this with a purpose and just the overall love for the dogs, you're not going to go anywhere. Because you know what? I was talking to Samantha about this earlier. How many of these people that started around COVID time because it was convenient, that are getting out now because they see that they have contributed to the oversaturation of our breed, and not everyone is willing to spend the money they are, unless it is of a high desired, high quality breeding or dog.
Mhm.
They're the ones getting out because they don't go to shows. Right? They're not breeding they're just breeding to make monetary gains, solely monetary gains. There's no vision, there's no desire to improve the breed, there's no desire for competition. There's none of that. Right? A lot of us that participate in, the sportsmanship of sanctioned shows or breed with a purpose, we don't solely rely on dogs to pay for our life. Our life pays for the dogs.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
I'd have a lot more money if I didn't have dogs.
Oh, dude. I'd have some money.
Yeah.
Yeah, the PPP. And I'm seeing people getting busted for that PPP bullshit now. I mean, there was a whole county office in Florida that was under investigation for all the PPP fraud.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
But the weird part now, admittedly, I am a COVID breeder, even though I got interested in getting the dog prior to COVID really hitting, but just shortly after we got American Bully, boom, it kicked in. So I have puppies, and I'm in the middle of, I have puppies. I'm waiting for them to grow. In the meantime, I'm seeing the people that are already established breeder making money hand over fist, right? Because now we're in the depths of COVID, and people have got extra money, free money from the government. 2, they don't get to go anywhere. They're stuck at home, right?
Yeah.
Puppies are flying. I mean, everyone's selling puppies. But by the time you enter the market, right? By the time your puppies grow up, guess what? COVID's gone. Free money's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only that, the market tightens up a little bit. People are being a little more frugal with their money right now. So it changed everything. And what it does is it really shows those people that are going to be dedicated to the breed, that have a long-term projection of a 10-year or whatever year projection for what they want to do. What's going on right now is completely irrelevant to them. They could care less.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I don't know. It's funny. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking bitter. I didn't get a single stimulus check to buy a dog. I didn't get no kickback from the government to buy shit.
I'm a small business owner, so they told me to close, and I was like, nah.
To close? Yeah, like that. It was crazy because I did at that time when COVID hit, and it was, the world was in panic mode. I was offered a great position to move across the country, paid for, sign-on bonus, all kinds of shit.
Right.
And I came out here and life was good, but I was working too much. So after 2 years with the new company, I decided I just want to do dogs.
Yeah.
You know, dogs were doing great. You know, our program was doing great. We were sustaining a decent lifestyle just solely based off our program and going to shows and all that stuff. And now it's dwindling.
Yeah.
It's not just the coat. And that's the thing. Like, if you go in there this with only the hope of sustaining anything, you're going to be left very disappointed.
Yeah. Well, if you think about this statistically, if you're to buy a dog with the amount of that as saturated as the market is, if you were not knowing any better, just went into a Facebook group and said, "Hey, I want to buy a bully,"
Mm-hmm.
and then you just went through those pictures and you bought one. What are the odds of that being that next dog? 0.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Usually that next dog is not up for grabs.
Right.
Ever.
And I think people had an unrealistic view that they were going to be able to do that. I get people message me and they were like, "I want to buy the dogs you don't want to sell." Well, you don't have enough money to do that.
Right.
That's not even a statement you should make to a breeder, because it's not going to happen.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I spent the years, the time, the thought, the work, the effort into this breeding. I produced something that I wanted for a long time, something that fit my vision, something that will progress my program. Why do you think that? I mean, some people can put a value to that, but when you're someone who's like looking generations out, that is invaluable. You know, imagine. I mean, I don't know.
Well, we got people like you and Westy and a lot of people that have been in the game for a while. So you kind of saw where maybe the market was okay, and then the market got really good, and then the market kind of so there's always a market correction in every industry, really.
Being in, like, I'm not even near a top tier breeder, like, as far as like voice and platform and market. Our first pick around COVID time was, we probably could have gotten away with selling our keeper for about $8,000.
Right.
And that was 4 years ago, right? You were happy 4 or 5 years ago to sell a pup for $5,000. Like, holy shit, $5,000. Now, and then 2 years ago, that was the normal. Ain't nothing leaving this house for less than $5,000.
Right.
And now it's gone back to, 25 is a respectable number for a non-breeding, a pet home dog.
Right.
But a quality pet home dog. That's the thing. Like, it's like the stock market. It's up and down. When it's good, it's really good.
Yeah.
When it crashes, it's really going to crash.
In reality, the breeders that can survive below are the ones that will ultimately win in the end. When the market comes back, whoever's left will be the winners. They'll ultimately get, those high prices again.
Yeah.
The problem is that a lot of the market, and it's the weirdest thing, the market's super saturated, right? But it's not saturated. It's not like we're all selling the same car. I was looking at Audis the other day. I really like this Audi TTRS. If 12 people had an Audi TTRS for sale, they were probably all within the same price range, a couple $1,000, right? Yeah. Now, if another guy had an Audi A4 and it was $7,000 cheaper, well, obviously it is, because it's an A4. It's not a TTRS. You know what I mean? So you look at that and you understand the price difference. This is a cheaper Audi. This is, their top of line kind of sports car. But in the bully community, people have a hard, they can't see it. They can't see it.
Right.
They'll see a dog that some guy's selling for $500
Mhm.
because it's their cousin's friend that breeds. And then they'll see, a dog from a top tier breeder and be like, why is that dog $9,000?
Right.
My friend breeds bullies down the street and they want $500.
Yeah.
And then they end up buying that dog for $500 and then they learn, eventually.
When it's an adult, like, it don't look like this.
Yeah. And not saying people don't Photoshop, people do, right? But a lot of people look at photos and they say, well, that dog must be Photoshopped because the dog they bought from cousin's friend doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't put two and two together. They don't come out to shows to see the dogs in person. All they ever see is pictures. And then they see some people like, hey, this is Photoshopped. So they think, well, that dog doesn't really look like that. It's just Photoshopped.
Yeah, and that it's just crazy. These people that I don't know, maybe it's a good thing. It's the people that aren't in it for the long haul. But see, to me, there's different groups of people exiting the breeding world, the American bully world.
Right.
There's people that their lifestyle just doesn't work right now. There's people that the dogs are taking too much away from other important things in their lives. I get it. I'd hate to see someone who's constantly failing and failing and failing because they don't know when to move on.
Right.
And that's, to me, that's not recognizing your downfall is not failure. To me, I don't define that as failure. I think that's actually success because now you know what to focus on. So if getting out of dogs is what best suits you, your lifestyle at this moment in time, fucking more power to you. Do it. It's your life. But these people that came in 3-4 years ago that think they're just gonna make money, they're just gonna pump out dogs like a fucking puppy mill and make money and sustain this level of lifestyle, and now they're hurting because they didn't invest into their program. They didn't build their network.
Right.
There's that saying, your net worth or your network is your net worth, and it's true. The people you hang around, people that you associate with, they're added to your value, the value of you. So yeah, I mean, you see it, I see it. People that are just coming in, people that came in a few years ago,
right,
leaving. Even if we stop breeding, we're never gonna not be in the bully world.
Right.
We're never not gonna keep up with what's going on. This is a breed of dog that is always gonna be with us.
Right. And Brian, I will say, I'm not saying it's impossible because I do it myself, but it's got to be the right person. It's rare that a breeder is going to say, yeah, I'll give you whatever my top pick from my breeding. It's got to be the right person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They've got to bring some sort of value for me giving up what potentially I can make all the money myself. So if I'm going to give that dog to someone else, they're going to have to bring some kind of value to it. We are definitely going to do a co-own show at some point and talk about like the ups and downs and goods and bads. But yeah, it's reality of it is that, the vast majority of people, especially, they hit you in messages and you're just like, this is just someone looking for a dog that's ultimately going to be a pet. They think they're going to be a breeder, but
yeah, right.
it's going to be a pet.
Yeah, I mean, somebody wrote this comment
Which one?
where David wrote it. The difference in today's world 4 or 5 years ago is people bought dogs that were not the picks and are breeding them and expecting pick prices. Yep. And that's a lot of the COVID breeders.
Yeah.
Everything comes with papers. Everything comes with papers.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there not, like, what happened to quality assurance and bettering the breed? Not everything should be bred.
Right.
Not everything is brood stock.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the problem is when everybody is willing to buy anything, then they'll breed it. They'll breed it all.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? But when your clientele become a little more educated and they understand what they're looking for, then it becomes much harder. And that's ultimately what you need to do. But if you go today and you Google American Bully on Facebook, if you look at the Wikipedia entry for American Bully, none of those dogs on that page look like American Bullies.
Right.
Now they're dogs from years ago that are well respected, but that's not today's dog. So when you do a Google search for American Bully, the majority of what you're going to get picture wise is going to be not what represents the breed today.
Yeah.
So you're already coming into it behind. You're already coming in behind because you don't know until it's too late.
Yeah, it's hard to catch up.
Yeah, and when you don't have any additional capital, let's say you had 10 grand and you found some breeder that would sell you two breeders that would sell you a dog for this guy sold you one for 5,000, this one told you for 5,000. You got a male and a female, right? And you think you're going to start breeding, they're both already lacking. The odds of you producing something better,
it's a very, very minute chance.
It's not going to happen. And believe it or not, I have people come to our yard. We had somebody come. I don't know if you want to mention who he was, but I won't. We had somebody come to our yard this weekend, and they were just like, "Holy shit!" Like some of the dogs that we basically just don't show anybody. But to me, I even feel still like I'm behind. Every breeding, I'm like, I've got to do something. By the time these puppies are born and they're 2 years old, they're going to be. I need to push beyond where I'm at right now. I'm happy where I'm at right now, but if I stay here, I'm in deep shit.
Right.
And imagine if I didn't have the stock I had lesser stock than I currently have. There's no fucking way I'd catch up. No way.
Yeah, it's a tough act to juggle. The wanting to progress yourself, progress with the breed, stay competitive, not have 5,000 fucking dogs, because you think this one with this one will create this, then I could pair it with that and that. And, it comes to a point where it's like, it's quality of life for everybody.
Right.
Not just you, but the dogs.
Right.
How much attention can you honestly give 100 dogs?
Exactly.
5 seconds of fucking attention?
Right.
Hey, pet, on to the next one. Pet. Like, it's...
Yep.
And I feel like it is a lifestyle, and it is a sun up to past sundown. I mean, me and Samantha are running around from 6:30, and I think we finally decide we're tired at 11:30 at night.
Right.
And it's two of us, and these dogs are happy. They're well fed. They're exercised daily. By the end of the night, they're as tired as we are.
Yeah. That's a interesting observation, Brian. It in a lot of ways it is on the stud owner. And that's another interesting thing when we talk about a dog being a producer, right? So if I created a stud and I said, I'm not proving any bitch that isn't on his level, right? He may end up doing very few breedings, but those very few breedings that he does, he will likely produce very well because it has just as much to do with the female as it does the male. So, and you could say, hey, you know what? My dog's only had 10 litters, but he drops bombs every time he breeds, right? Because you only bred the high quality females. Now, at the end of the day, I could do that. I could disapprove any female that I don't think is going to be a great producer. I have seen with my own eyes, I've seen clients come to me and want to breed and produce a dog off of that, which the female I would have never bred to in a million years. And they send me a 2-year-old picture of one of the offspring, and I'm like, never saw that coming. Never saw that coming. Like, just created something amazing. So it's hard for me to pass judgment on a particular female based on her phenotype. You know what I mean? She could have genetics behind her that are going to come through with my stud. And at the end of the day, who am I to say no to the guy that's trying to do better? You know what I mean?
Well, the thing, like, they already made up their mind they're going to breed their female. Okay, it can either be with your stud that you feel is a quality stud that brings to the table when it's time for breeding and creating productions, or you could say no and they're just going to pick another stud. It could be way lesser quality than yours. It could actually, hurt their breeding program. So it's like a slippery slope. They already decided they're going to breed their female.
Yeah.
Why not breed to a stud, my stud, that I feel will contribute something to the breed, as opposed to letting them pick some random stud that may not contribute to anything,
Right. Well, two factors you have to think about. If you have a very nice stud, but you see that female and you're like, I don't think I'm not going to prove that one. He is literally going to turn around and give his money to someone else.
He already decided he's breeding her.
Yeah, and they are not going to say no. The next guy will not say no. And at the end of the day, if you have to buy dog food, if you have to buy, you're trying to upgrade your program, you're trying to buy wash tubs and whatever else, vet bills and all this other bullshit. At the end of the day, why are you denying yourself money that you can use? That's his female. He decided he wanted a breeder. Here's the difference. And this is the other thing people talk about when they say, oh no, this dog's a producer. Let me tell you, if you send I don't give a shit, send any known breeder a message and say, hey, show me some offspring of your stud, he's going to send you the primo shit. Every badass dog. Now, if you go into a Facebook group and say, hey, let me see some dogs off of this stud,
you're going to see everything.
And you're not going to see what you want to see, because
you're going to see all the candid pictures,
right?
The worst angles, because people take hey, let me see what that pup looks like. They'll take it from overhead fucking view at the weird fucking angle. You see part of its face. I mean,
well, not only that,
don't know how to take pictures.
Not every dog throws amazing puppies every time.
No, I agree.
With the genetics of mom take over sometimes. And I don't care how badass he is, the puppies are not going to come out. If any breeder is trying to convince you that every time this stud breeds, he produces, he's full of shit. It does not work like that. It just doesn't. Unless every time he produces, you've done it to an approved female that also carries, type, then maybe I'll give you that. But not every litter. You know how many litters you've had where there's like 2 or 3 badass dogs and there's one in there and you're like, where the hell did you come from? Like, don't like none of the other litter mates.
Right.
It's just normal. But as far as marketing is concerned, no stud owner is going to be like, yeah, here's this litter, and there's like these 4, and then there's this, scrawny ass dog. He's off my stud too. No, we're not going to do that.
Right. Yeah, it's, I don't know. What if you don't think it would contribute?
If you don't, what, like the dog, the female?
Right. Right. This lackluster female is breeding to your stud, and you don't think any stud in the world, or your stud specifically,
right,
is not going to contribute anything. I've known breeders who've told clients no,
mm-hmm.
and who have said, I would honestly start over.
Right.
I've heard this with my own ears when speaking to clients. I don't feel like, it's brutally honest, and that's what a lot of people need to hear.
But at the end of the day, they're just going to go to the next guy.
End of the day, they're still going to fucking breed her.
Yeah. I mean, there is a line for me, but I'm going to be very generous because I fully see the situation you're in. I know exactly what happened to you, and now you're invested, and now you're trying to find a way to get out of it.
Right.
And I've seen it happen. I have seen. I don't know if I sent you this picture, Sam, but I've seen one of my dogs bred to a classic female, and he I haven't seen the dog in person, so I'm not gonna say he reproduced himself. But what I'll say is he just looks like my dog is a different color in the photos. Like how that happened, I don't know. But
hard
for me to say no when that guy got exactly what he was praying for, even though his odds were totally against him.
I feel like in those circumstances, the COI takes in high consideration. Like, what was the female COI as opposed to your stud COI? If his genetics are strong enough to overthrow hers,
right?
And a lot of people, they want. There's levels to this breeding stuff.
Right.
A lot of high level breeders get to a point where they just want consistency. I want a whole litter of bulls.
Right.
A lot of us, lower tier breeders are praying for the one dog.
Right.
I just want the one dog. The one dog that's going to give me some notoriety, one dog that I can further my program with. The one dog that's going to set myself on that stage and be recognized as a breeder,
I haven't seen that.
A lot of us are striving for that, but it's, it's the upper echelon of breeders that are like, I've produced the one dog many times. I want a whole litter of the one dog.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. But it just doesn't,
it doesn't happen for everybody.
The one I was just talking about, the reason why I thought there might be is because when I looked at her pedigree, in the back of her pedigree, there were some bulls. And I thought, you know what? It could happen. Knowing that the father, the grandfather were crazy, there was a possibility. So,
yeah.
And I'm glad it worked out for him. I'm happy for him. I hope he does really well. So it's tough for me to say no. Now, there's honestly, you hit me up with an Amstaff. Yeah, I'm going to have to be like, But I'm as a breeder, I'm paying attention to the pedigree. And I'm, I've actually advised people to switch. They've messaged me about a particular stud, and then they send me the pedigree, and I'm like, I think me personally, if that was my female, this is the stud I would breed to. I would breed to the one you're messaging me about, but I would breed to another one. And I've had people switch based on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to address Derek, yes, me personally, I'm not, for the most part, I'm not going to shit on anybody, and I'm going to let them breed to my studs if they want to. Now, putbacks are a different deal. You know, I threw that thing out there months ago, and I've got crazy amount of putback requests. And I've even put on top of that form, if you have an exceptional female. If you do, we may collaborate with you, right? But majority of the time, they're not exceptional females.
Yeah.
There have been a couple I've reached out to, but you know, for the most part, majority of those requests are rejects, because you are at a certain level in your yard, but I have an expectation at where I'm at. So I'm expecting a Truth. I'm expecting a Precious. I'm expecting a Karen. That's what I expect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I don't feel like the breeding will produce that, then why would I want to put back? I don't want to put back from it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for us, we do the same thing when it comes to our micros. Like, we know I don't know if anybody's read Samantha's post. I don't know if it was today, but you know, her oldest productions are 10 years old. Right. So her vision for her micros is a 10-year vision. And it's to the point to where we have a couple males, we could damn near breed to anything. You're guaranteed to get micro.
Right.
That's just how consistent and tight this blood is, you know. Would I say no to someone who's trying to shorten up their female by using one of our boys? No, because I know that he will shorten it up, you know. I know he will help contribute to what your vision is. So.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. So, you know, I think in a lot of that, if we look at the people that are starting to exit, what we're seeing is just that. We're seeing people that had females that weren't great, and they reach out to particular stud owners, and they locked in the stud and they used it, and then that didn't produce what they expected. And you really can't put that on the stud owner, because he gave you the opportunity, you know. But it just is what it is, you know. When you see a quality female, and we're seeing a lot more of those breedings, quality females to quality males producing quality offspring. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So let me go.
Yeah. Nikki's comment, she's seen older folks throwing in the towel.
Right.
This community can be taxing mentally to certain people, you know. The toxicity, the high level of toxicity, you know, it's incredible right now. So much drama, and that's just, I don't know, if you're a person that always wants to see the good in people, that it's not a pretty spotlight that's on our community right now.
Right.
You know, so I can see why some of the older folks, the ones that have been in it from the beginning, are leaving.
Yeah.
You know, they it's not the same community to them that it was when they started. You know, the way you market a dog is completely different.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're an established name, it's a young man's game. The young man is the one that has the following, the huge following, the one that people can relate to, you know. I mean, it is very much an urban lifestyle breed, you know, and when you're dealing with a breed that resonates so highly with a culture and a lifestyle, it's the young ones that are leading it.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, it's changed. It's not what it was when I first came across American Bully, 2003, I was living in Long Beach, right? That's where I grew up. It was, you know, Long Beach, very urban, West Coast vibe. The dudes that had these dogs were cholos. They were gangsters, you know. That's the breed that they identified with. You know, every time I saw a bully, it was with a dude with a bald head, a button-up panel, and creased khakis.
Right.
Every time I saw a bully, you know. So this breed is so appealing because of its size, its stature, the fact that it's a companion, that other people outside of that culture gravitated towards it. But they're not used to what having these dogs and the lifestyle. It's a melting pot, and maybe they're not used to how different these people are that love these dogs.
Yeah,
you know, and you know it's a tough looking dog, so a lot of these dudes want to act tough.
Yeah,
you know, it's just, you know, I say it all the time, bro. Like, don't try to pretend to be what your dog looks like. You know,
I think that's
so
what's so funny about Dina and like sending her to shows.
Oh, Dina,
you know what I mean? I think it's
yeah,
because she doesn't fit that picture.
right.
Like, you know, she's someone's mom with
Right.
this crazy ass bully. So I think it's hilarious. But you know, I think another aspect of it is people are faced with, and I think you kind of touched on that a little bit, is like the breeder of 7 years ago or the breeder of 8 years ago that refused to pivot, who said, this is the American bully. This is what I love about the American bully. And that new shit that's coming out, that's bullshit. That's not the American bully. And my entry into the American bully was in a high time of disagreement with the direction the American bully was going.
I feel like right now, a lot of people are, I feel like the majority of the people are seeing how we've always seen these dogs, how we want to see the end result of this breed. I feel like a lot of people are starting to gravitate towards that vision of the American bully. You know, Dave Wilson, been on a couple times, always has the same message, right? These dogs are supposed to be extreme. These dogs are supposed to look like this, you know? And I think that him getting on a platform and saying that multiple times, it really made people listen and say, hey, I need to progress. Maybe I need to make slight adjustments, you know?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, there are people out there that will literally disagree and tell him he's dead wrong, which blows my mind. You know,
I mean,
but I
all
think
entitled to the opinion.
I think what happened, you know, we talk about that progression where the dog looked like this, and then people added a bunch of mass and bone, and the dog kind of fell apart. Right now, in that moment, old style dog that's well put together, new style dog that is still kind of wonky. Old style dog, people tear down this dog's this dog. But what are we seeing in 24? We're starting to see dogs that have that mass and that bone, the kind of dog that people were hating on a couple of years ago, but now that dog's starting to clean up, and now it's showing up in the show ring, and now it can move around the ring at a reasonable rate. It's tough for someone that says this is the bully, the bully of 7 years is the bully, when the new bully is now getting to the point where it's clean enough to be in a show ring and you can't tear it apart. You can't say too much about it because, you know, now those older style breeders are faced with, okay, either I progress or I quit, because I either catch up or I don't. Because at some point, someone's not going to want that style dog anymore. You know, that older, not so wide, not so, you know, I don't know. There probably is still a market for like a super fit dog that runs.
There is.
But
there's lovers all varieties of this breed.
Call it an Amstaff, call it a pit bull. Like, don't, you know, don't call it an American.
Yeah. I mean, it's still considered American Bully. You know, it may not be what's winning in the ring, you know, or in a class that you want to be in. You know, a lot of people think they have a standard dog who haven't been to a show in a while, and the judge recommends it go in classic.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure. It used to be definitely still on market. And there may still be. You understand? I'm not in that world. I wouldn't know. I have no idea. The only thing I give a crap about is like extremely muscled up dogs. So I hang out with people that breed that style dog. You know, I sell my dogs to people that want to buy that style dog. So if there is still a market for what I guess what we consider a classic today, I wouldn't know. But there may still be.
People love that that high drive, high energy style bully.
Right.
You know, to me, it is very few and far between where I've seen a bully that exudes type that has a high drive, like insanely high drive. Yeah. Usually those ones tend to be, you know, your more classic style dogs.
Right. Exactly.
You know, what's Bully saying?
Yeah. We often forget that breeders are primarily owned by pet owners, not show homes. We're in the top 3% of owners. We're often jaded.
I like how my favorite part's he credits himself. That's my favorite part.
He put his signature on the end of it. Just in case. Don't be stealing his shit. You better give him credit.
Yeah, exactly. That's plagiarism. You steal that shit.
But yeah, I mean, he's totally right. We are the super, you know, small percentage that are just like, this is how the American Bully should be. When the average customer, well, number one, your average customer probably couldn't even take care of the style dog that I'm shooting for. You know what I mean? Right. Because they won't pay attention to it. They think it's going to be the same as their pit bull. They're going to throw it outside in 85-degree weather and let it run around the yard for 30 minutes and sit in the house and forget for an hour. And that we see that every year. We see that every year. Oh, I let him out. He was out for 2 hours and I went out there and he was dead. You know?
Yeah, it sucks. That's the worst part.
Yeah. So, you know, we have to take some responsibility as breeders and say, okay, if you're going to buy this dog from this particular breeding, I know you want it. You know, that was opportune.
Perfect timing, Carl.
Yes, perfect. If you want this dog, and I understand you want it, you have to understand what it's going to take. You know, you have to communicate to them. This is not a dog you leave outside for 30 minutes. If you live in South Florida, this dog goes outside, takes a shit, comes back in. It doesn't stay outside 95-degree weather.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Alicia.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think yes and no. Yes and no. And the reasons it's split. I feel like pet homes, they have very minimal dogs compared to the majority of us. So they're always babied. They're always in the house. They're always with them. The pet homes are the true companion version of our breed. Right? But when you sell to a breeder, someone who hopefully has experience with our breed, knows all these things, knows what to do, what to prevent, and how to care for our dogs. You know, so those are things that you hopefully don't have to explain to a breeder, but have to explain to a pet home.
Right. You would think. And Joe made a good comment here. It was like, I'm very forward. You know, my dogs are out there, right? So you're probably not going to come to me and be like, hey, I want a dog that has a lot of drive and I can play frisbee with. Like, you've seen my social media? Like, that's that's not what I make. So, I mean, and I guess some people will come into it with a little bit of knowledge just because they see what I'm putting out there. So you would think logically they would know. But we do it. Every person we sell a pup to, we explain that to them. Like, this is not a dog. Even if I sell you the most classic puppy out of the litter, it's still not a dog that you can just throw out the door and leave out there in 95-degree weather. It is not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And that's the same goes for us, Carl. You know, it's a good thing I don't deal with the potential homes for our litters, because I probably, like, my finishing line, go fuck yourself.
Right.
Like, you ain't never gonna have one of our dogs. Or Samantha has a little more discretion, and says, well, that, you know, unfortunately it's not gonna work out. That's not how we see our pup living, you know.
Exactly.
And then ends it, you know, peacefully. But yeah, people are idiots. People are, and that, you know, time and time again, the worst thing that happened to this breed are people.
Right.
It's the worst thing that's ever happened to this breed.
At the end of the day, I can get a hold of you on Facebook and I can blow all the smoke up your ass. Oh no, I have a fenced in yard. I live in a mile from it, and I'll keep the dog inside. It's going to be my wife's pet, and I can blow all the smoke in the world up your ass. Right. But at the end of the day, after you hand the dog to me, you can't control what I do with it. But you've done your due diligence, and I think every breeder should do that. You should do your due diligence. You should explain, you know, what they're receiving. Even there's co-owns, you know, I do that with co-owns. I'm giving them a dog, and, you know, I look at the dogs they already have, and I'll get the dog that they're getting from me, and I explain to them, this is not your other dogs. Okay, the dogs you have now, whatever you do with them, you cannot do that with this dog. But your job as a co-owner is to stay in communication with your people, to reach out to them and talk to them, you know, and see what they're doing. Now I've got others, Puso, you know, we co-own Puso, and he runs the living shit out of that dog. That's probably the most athletic American Bully I ever seen. That dog run her ass off. But I also know,
and she's bully.
Yeah, and she's bully.
She's bully.
What I realized is that he has acclimated her to that weather slowly, and he knows her limits. So when he first started putting her outside and running her, that was shorter periods. Now she's up to, I'm just like, I can't even believe this dog can do this. Like, she is able to just run and run and run and pant and pant and pant, and he knows her limits. But it takes a very special person that's going to take that time and learn their dog.
Yep.
Because that's how you're going to keep them healthy, right? And in good shape, is to actually work them, but understand their limits, understand what you can do with them. Most pet homes are not going to do that. They just put the dog out. You know, maybe they'll go outside and play ball with it for 10 minutes or whatever, but they don't really take the time to learn their dog's limits.
Yeah, you got to be, I mean, they're babies. Yeah, treat them like babies. You fucking helicopter mom around these suckers until you know that they're not going to do something stupid.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, listen, you're right. Exactly. Now, I do have, you know, and I have dogs that I can leave out longer. You know, my Kimbers, my Nomies. Yeah, these females, I can cut them out and I don't even have to worry about them. I know now there's a certain level of weather I'm not going to cut any dog out, period. But there are certain temperatures I know I can cut a few dogs out and let them go, and they're fine. You know what I mean? Mimi, Mesmerize Me, Precious's mom. She has drive. The problem is that she's in an American Bully body. She doesn't understand what she's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She's
You
got
have-
too much mass. She's got too much. She got too much bully on her to be acting pit bull.
Yeah. So I have to watch her. I have to pay attention to her because she will push it too far. You know, there's been many times I've had to jump on the tractor and run down to the bottom of the field and throw her in the back and bring her up, you know, because I didn't even want her walking back up.
Yeah, we've got some of those that have that. They have that incredible fixation on things that they if you let them have complete control, they will kill themselves.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. Now there's certain dogs like Machiavelli's a great example. I can open the garage door on the kennel and all the dogs will run out, and Mac will run out for a little while, but then he'll run right back in. He'll just lay down on the floor in the kennel. He knows his limits. He knows when he's pushing it too far, and he will come.
Yeah.
But not all of them.
Yeah. And that, you know, so like some dogs can withstand the heat. Like Cowboy, I can take him outside when it's hot. I can do a very light pace, you know, walk with him, and he's fine.
Right.
The moment he starts to exert a little more energy than a gingerly slow walk, you see it.
Yep.
Right? And it's like, nah, dude, we ain't doing this shit.
Let's see. I can sympathize because I'm a fat man. So I'm like, there's too much of you to be doing that. I like you try to keep pace with you, I'd have fell off a long time ago.
Yeah. But it's knowing your dog's limitations.
Yeah.
You know,
they don't know their own.
And that, you know, going back to the subject, a lot of these people just jumped in it like full steam ahead and didn't learn the dog. They didn't learn the breed. And now they have an abundance of dogs and they put them out and they're dying, or they think they can give natural birth. They're not making vet appointments. They're not vetting their dogs. They're coming home. They're constantly fighting some form of illness or disease or bacteria. Don't recognize food allergy. Like a lot of people just wanted to make money, just bought pups and dogs.
Yeah.
With government money, thought they could sustain this lifestyle. Now their dogs are dying off. You know, they can't maintain a healthy lifestyle for them. They're not built to deal with dogs all day long. And they're just like, I quit. I give up.
Yeah.
You know, those are the people we don't need in our breed.
Yeah.
The ones that, you know, have been doing this for a while, have a vision, have a program, but the way the market is, the way the community is, the way their lifestyle is, it's just not a match. And they don't want to keep beating a dead horse, you know. I can respect that, you know. I can respect that. Absolutely. Because to me, like I said before, acknowledging your weakness is not failure.
No.
Acknowledging something that you cannot be successful in and changing direction is not failure. That's not failure to me.
Nope.
Failure is continuing a losing cycle. That's failure.
I'm mute there. Just not learning from it. Making a mistake, but not learning from it. Continue
Not learning from it.
Make that mistake over and over again. You know, failing at something teaches you some valuable lessons. You know, it's funny because back before we used Smeagol, we actually wanted to use a Smeagol son. There was one that was here in the States. He wasn't bad looking. And I thought, you know, we might use that dog. Reach out to the owner, talk to him a little bit. And then girl's getting closer to her heat cycle. So I reach out to him and I'm like, hey, how's your boy doing? Oh, he passed away. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I let him out. And then I took a shower and a buddy of mine called and I talked on the phone for a little while. And I was just like, It just blew my mind.
Yeah. That sucks, man. That's just that's crazy.
I make a good point, Joe. Right now, where the market is low, would be the best time if people were looking to start over. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I do.
Yeah.
I do. You know, there's, and I have you. You guys probably do this too. So I have levels of pet home. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is a pet home that I would sell to someone because I still feel like even though it's not a keeper for my program, it still represents the breed decently.
Hmm.
You know, if it was an earlier version of me, I probably maybe I would have kept that dog. But at this
Hmm.
point, I'm not keeping it. So that's a pet home that you sell, right? And then I do have levels of pet home that I don't sell, that they go freely to
Yeah. The
local
right
homes.
home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go to local homes, and I just don't want that dog out there. I don't want my name on it. I want, it just weird shit happens, and I'm not even comfortable selling it to people.
Right.
So we have people that will take dogs that just I don't charge them nothing. You know what they get charged? Whatever the spade and neuter is. That's what
Yeah. That's a lot of times that's exactly what we do. It's the cost of rehoming is what it would be to spay or neuter.
right.
And there's a contract. And if it's a pup under a year and a half, there's a contract saying when this pup has reached maturity, it's going to get spayed and neutered. Because that's one thing. Even though it's a pet home, I don't want this pup to be deprived of hormones that it's necessary for its development. Even though it's a pet home, like I still want this pet home bully to be bully.
Right.
Because I've prematurely neutered and spayed dogs, and they do not represent their breed one bit.
Right. See what Carl said here. Every time a new client comes for PG tests, we get into them. First time they're hearing it at all.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. It is tough. And that's the hard part. You as a breeder, when you consider trying to, and again, we'll have this cone conversation, but that comes up too when you're considering cone with people. You understand that you're taking these people on. You're not just selling them a dog and be like, hey, I'll be in touch with who you're going to breed her to. No, you're taking these people on. You have to educate them. Very rarely are you going to find an established breeder that wants to co-own a dog with you. You know what I mean? They don't, people that know what they're doing are kind of beyond that at some point.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to understand, for me, taking on a cone is just not selling you a dog and here, good luck, I'll be in touch. I'm taking you on. I'm basically mentoring you and communicating with you anything that you're going to need to know, because at the end of the day, that dog is still half mine. Right. So I want it taken care of. So
yeah,
it's tough for any breeder to take on that responsibility because they're taking on another person, you know what I mean, to guide them and show them every aspect.
So for me, or Samantha, Samantha does not like co-owning out
Right.
dogs. But because we are the people that will do whatever it takes to make sure a dog in our that is ours or in our possession, we'll do whatever it takes to make sure the dog is safe, happy, and well taken care of. We will allow co-owns to be here. We will co-own with another breeder. But as far as co-owning out, we know the horror stories. We know from experience, it doesn't work all the time. And it's rare when you find those people that actually do what they say they're going to do, and take care of your dog the way you would take care of it.
Right.
You know, and I feel like it's the biggest thing for us is you have, you know, it has to be you have to have a proven track record for us to even consider co-owning a dog with you. You know,
for sure. I think you as an individual, if you're talking to a breeder and he says, well, I'll sell this dog, but I'm only going to sell it on a co-own. The next question you should ask him is what's your involvement in the dog? If I buy it from you.
Right.
And if he says, you know, I'll be in contact when she's ready to be bred. I'll tell you what stud we're using, you know, or I'm not going to, whatever, you know, it's your dog. You do whatever. I would be concerned about that, especially if I'm a new breeder, right? I would rather that guy say, well, if I co-own a dog with you, it means it's half my dog too. So I'm going to be in regular contact with you. We're going to talk. I'm not going to be like coming and taking your dog and taking it to shows or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're going to be in communication. We are now partners, whether you like it or not.
Right.
So
I mean, they should fucking like it because they reached out to you to co-own the fucking or want the dog.
Right.
Like, I don't understand that shit. Like, Carl hit it on the head. Because co-owns go south because the co-owner listens to everyone but you. Then why didn't you get this dog from them?
Right.
Why did you come to me? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you come to me for this particular dog? One that I don't want to sell you full rights to, but I'm willing to co-own it with you.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to go around and listen to everyone who doesn't have a vested interest in the well-being of this dog?
Right.
That makes no fucking sense to me.
Well, I'll tell you one that happened. It was so far off the planet. I was just like, what? I mean, it blew my mind. This guy didn't want to co-own the dog. He wanted to buy it outright. And I said, well, this particular dog's not going anywhere unless it's co-owned. And he said, I don't want you, if I do all the work and make this dog popular, I don't want you to take the credit. And I'm like, what? He had no beef with if it was a stud. If the stud got popular, me giving you 50% of the stud fee, I don't have no problem with that. I don't want you taking credit. If I build this dog up, I don't want you taking credit for it. And I was like,
I will always have credit because I created the dog.
I produced the dog, and my name's on his pedigree.
Because as well as you can promote this dog, the dog still has to carry the attributes everyone wants. Like that's the biggest thing. Like It has to be the dog.
Right.
You know, I can be the best promoter in the world, but if I'm promoting a fucking emaciated poodle,
right,
no one's gonna fucking want that shit.
And even as much as you try to, if for some reason you tried to hide it, people were going to look at the pedigree. They're going to know who produced the dog.
Right.
So it doesn't even matter. But it was that thing where and that's not even like he didn't have a problem putting my name on the dog. He had a problem with me promoting the dog. He didn't want me promoting the dog also.
That's so weird.
He wanted
the more people that promote the dog, the better chance the dog has to being successful.
Yeah, and it didn't make no sense to me.
Now you have multiple people vouching for the same dog.
Right.
You know, that's a wider audience. That's a farther reach. Some people are just so, I don't know. That sounds like narcissistic as fuck to me.
That was super weird.
You know?
Because in my position, I'm like, I came from knowing nothing to someone taking me on and giving me an incredible amount of knowledge. And then just the personality that I am, also stacking onto that as much knowledge as I could find.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like I'm in a position where I was given something and I want to give it to other people. You know what I mean? So I want to work with you. I want to get you this dog. I want to reach out and help you any way I can and try to help you be successful too. Like that's a genuine want of mine. It's not a scam. I'm not trying to scam you out of your money. You know, I genuinely want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
Your success is my success. At the end of the day, if you breed to my stud and you have incredible puppies, good for me.
We both win.
You know what I mean? So
We both win.
I'm going to tell you about prenatal vitamins and talk about progesterone timing, and I'm going to do all this stuff because at the end of the day, if you succeed, I succeed. You know what I mean? And
Right.
people that don't do that, I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Just send people semen in a box and be like, good luck. That's nuts. And I wonder how many people run across that, and that's why they're failing. That's why their programs are not progressing.
Right. Yeah, this turned into a co-owned conversation.
Not necessarily. Because we're talking about why they're failing, and a lot of it is the people they involve themselves with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't get the right dog. People weren't forthcoming with what you were buying necessarily. You didn't do your homework. You didn't realize what it was. You know, I had Cam. I'd be interested to know how long Cam was interested in the American Bully before he actually bought one. Like, he's one of those guys. He was at the shows. He didn't have a dog. He was reaching out to.
He had a young. They were young still, I think.
Right.
When I first met, when me and Cam first became friends on Facebook, he had just gotten a puppy. Right. And I don't know if anybody is familiar with Cam. Cam's he's an awesome dude. Very loving of the breed, very enthusiastic person when it comes to these dogs. Overall, good dude. But yeah, what is let's see. Well, look, what was his answer?
I studied 2.5 years before I bought my first dog.
That's fucking respectable as hell. You know?
Yeah. And I think there was what's his name was the same way. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Let me see if I can find Brian. I'm pretty sure Brian was the same way. They put in homework. They took time to learn. They got involved in the community. They got to know who the breeders were. They got to know what they were producing. And then they made a purchase. But this still doesn't guarantee you anything. But at least you did your homework.
Right. Yeah, you got to do homework. I mean, Samantha. Yeah, it was Brian.
Yeah.
Samantha made a post today. I could have sworn it was today. I think it was today. You know, she's been in this breed 20 years. She's been showing 16. Her oldest productions are 10.
Right.
So she was very much a student of the breed. Owned it for 20. 16 years she decided to start showing, so 4 years after, decided she wanted to start showing. And then 6 years after that, when she felt like she absorbed enough knowledge, decided to breed. Like that is a great progression of someone who wants to do things the right way.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it has to be that duration of time, but just the fact that being a pet owner, loving these dogs, seeing what the breed should be in friendly competition, right? And then wanting to progress the breed herself by creating more dogs to put in the showroom. Like, commendable, right?
Exactly.
A lot of these COVID breeders just bought the dog, skipped all the other steps, bought the dog, started breeding.
Yep. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, because they're not getting anywhere and all they're looking at is my investment and I'm not getting a return on my investment, now they're bailing out.
Yeah.
And with breeders like me, when I see someone say, I'm out of the bully game, I'm selling all my dogs, I'm going to go in the comments and I'm going to look and see what dogs I got for sale. Maybe I can get something on a steal, because I'm not going nowhere. If you're giving up, I'm going to see what you got.
I'm not going anywhere either. I may not. And I don't even consider myself a breeder. You know, I'm an
Technically, you still
enthusiast.
don't.
I still don't. I'm an enthusiast of this breed. I love these dogs. I study these dogs. I study the pedigrees. Deep within this community. Samantha is the breeder, right? To me, the term breeder is not. It's just not putting two dogs together and having puppies. There's so much more to this shit. Knowing what to do, spending the countless hours awake, bottle feeding, tube feeding, medicating mama, like creating form, like there's putting him in the incubator. Like there's so much more aspects to a breeder that a lot of people just throw that term out there because they put two dogs together and had puppies.
Right.
You know, you're just a fucking now you're to me you're just a dog pimp.
Right.
You can't whelp your own shit. You can't vet your own dogs. You don't know what to do when it comes or find the answer if you don't know the answer. If you don't know how to do these things, you're not a fucking breeder.
Exactly.
You're just a dog pimp, you know?
Exactly.
And for me, I know what to do, but that is not my passion. Samantha's passion is being in the whelping box. And she's fucking phenomenal at it. So why the fuck would I step in, someone who's mediocre at something, when somebody else is phenomenal at it? I'm gonna let you do your thing. Do your thing. Let me know if you need anything from me.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I don't consider myself a breeder. Even though I can very well whelp a litter. I can bottle feed, I can tube feed, I can do all these things. It's not my passion to sit in a whelping box.
Right.
You know, when they start hitting that 3.5, 4 week mark and they're on mush and their personalities, that's when I jump in. I'm like, this is my fucking favorite part.
I'm with you.
That's my favorite part.
Well, just nurturing.
Now I start breaking. Yeah, now I start breaking down the dogs. You know, because they all look the same. Day one, they all look the same. Day two, week one, week two, they all look the same. You know.
I mean, why you think they're trying to move them out at 8 weeks? Because they all look the same at 8 weeks.
Yeah, not me. Not me. We've held on to 3 out of a litter till they're 9 months old when we made our decision. You know.
Right. Hey, speaking of Brian, have you confirmed yet? We don't have to say what, but I'm just curious.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think Dina is a lot that way. She's that nurturer, you know what I mean. And it takes, I think, a lot of people that may get into this and eventually get out don't realize what the vet expenses are going to be. Don't realize what the time investment's going to be, right? Because maybe their cousin bred pit bulls, and the bitch just got pregnant and they put her in the box and she's pushed the puppies out and she took care of them.
She did all natural. Yeah, this is not that.
Yeah, this ain't that. And then they realize, oh, wait a minute, I gotta check on these dogs every 2 hours. I've got to do all this shit,
right?
And then
I got to make sure this mama knows what the fuck she's doing because we had a C-section and she's high off her ass. Right? Is she laying on these puppies? What is she doing? Right? Is she even attempting to be a mother? Like there's so many variables to breeding these dogs and whelping these litters that I wish they were all natural births. Like
be so much.
I wish there was no anesthesia, and they just instinctually they all produced milk. They all knew what to do. They all cleaned their pups. They all kept them warm. They didn't squish any of them. That'd be fucking ideal. It'd be so easy. It'd be so easy, but it's not.
Tiffany, last line. That's Dina's line too. She's like, they're all mine. I'm like, no, they're not. I'm not keeping all of them.
This is for the world.
In the beginning, I get it. Yeah, I can get behind it. But at some point, when the building starts getting so full, we have to be like, come on now. we gotta.
I already know her answer. We'll put a second level to it.
Oh no,
We'll put
she's already
another building down.
She's already talking because this next 3 or 4 breedings are even worse than in the beginning. Now the next 3 or 4 breedings are all mission criticals. You know what I mean? She's like, we're just gonna put 5x5s down the middle. And I'm like, I had all that room for activities. It's all about to go away. I mean, there'll still be plenty of room, but you know, she wants to keep a bunch of them. So how do we, I mean, ultimately we benefit as people start to fade away, right?
Yeah.
The market thins. As the demand, as the economy starts to recover a little bit, demand will start to recover. And then people that got out of it, I wonder how many people get out of it and literally never come back because they experience the trouble, you know, and they just say, fuck it, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd like to see that.
But as the market thins out, less people will be breeding, you know, as a demand for the dog. And what we really need is a demand for what we are breeding for. Right?
Yeah.
That is the thing. Because there's just a demand for something labeled American Bully that doesn't necessarily fit the description, unfortunately. And people buy a puppy and they say, oh, and they didn't turn into that. Well, no. I mean, an experienced eye could look at that puppy and tell you it wasn't going to turn into that. You know, but you as a first-time breeder, you don't know. You know, you buy a puppy, you think it's going to be amazing. And then it turns out that it's not.
Because you don't go to shows.
Really?
You don't go outside your house. You just breed these dogs because you want to turn a profit. You know, that's the definition of the COVID breeder. Now it's too much. You know, these puppies that used to sell a couple years ago aren't selling, and now you have too many dogs you can't keep. You know, now you're getting threatened by your landlord, or your neighbors are complaining, or whatever it is. You know, it's too much for your lifestyle. You're muted, Roger.
I do that on occasion. I kept, every time I put my hand up, it started on my camera, so I had to go in there and figure out what the hell's going on. But yeah, I mean, he's got a good point there. The market gets saturated, and when the market gets saturated by undesirable dogs, prices go way down, and not everybody is what do they call that? I don't know, a distinguished buyer or whatever. You know what they know what they're looking for.
Educated buyer.
Yeah. So what you'll find is, like, you know, as long as there's dogs out there for $1,200, people are going to buy them for $1,200. And another person is going to get a hold of you and expect what you're breeding for $1,200, you know? So you got to be, and somebody told me early on, you got to be prepared, especially when you are new to it and you don't have a reputation. You best be prepared to keep every one of them.
Right.
You know, because
that's worst case scenario. I mean, you need to be prepared for worst case scenario. Nothing from your litter is going to sell. What are you going to do?
Yeah. What are you going to do?
You have to be able to maintain a quality of life for all of these dogs. Not just puppies anymore. Now they're dogs.
Right.
Now they need, you know, full-grown dog attention. Right. And if you don't have the space, the time, or the money to maintain them, you're fucked. You shouldn't have done it in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are additional complications. You know, international sales is, you don't even want to go down that road. Like something when those fall apart, you know, when someone says, hey, I want to buy a puppy, and they give you a deposit, right? And then they message you and they say a week later or whatever, I can't come up with the money, right? Then you got 8-week-old puppy that you can put right back on the market. International, those dogs have to be so old before they can leave the country. You know, you could get stuck with a 6-month-old dog. Just boom, out of the blue. Deal went down. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Now you got a 6-month. You know how marketable a 6-month-old dog is? Not as marketable as an 8-week-old puppy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I don't know. It's funny because pet homes want a puppy, breeders want an 8-month-old. You know.
Yeah. Pet homes one. Well, you know what? As a pet home owner, I see Dina with her puppies. You know, she's got Psycho Bunny. That's her new attachment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she loves, and I think a lot of families love that. They love to get this size puppy and watch
Right.
it, you know, play
They
with
want
it.
a puppy.
You know what I mean? So they don't
Right.
want to buy a dog that's a dog. You know, now it's
Right.
a dog. They don't want a dog. They number one, there's certain personality traits. It gets used to your family. You know, this dog has half grown up nowhere around you. So whatever behavior it has, it's ingrained in it already. You know, so a lot of people want a puppy. They don't want a dog. But you as a breeder, if you're keeping the best of the best, sometimes that means you keep them longer than 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So the longer you keep them to find your ideal dog, the less marketable they become. Because you're not selling the best of the best, you're keeping the best of the best. So at the end of the day, what you're selling is not the best of the best.
Right. Yeah. I mean, or it's too close. It's too close to call, and you have more on the horizon, and you have to make room.
Mm-hmm. Trust me, I know that one. You only got so much room, and sometimes they got to.
Yeah.
So the market's going to thin out, which it has. It is still, but I think it's got a long way to go. I still see a lot of breeders out there that probably should go away. If you're okay, so it's kind of the same way on is. If you're a breeder, you're breeding for that one good bull.
I just right now at this moment and stage in our program, for me, Samantha may have a completely different view, which normally she does. I just want the one dog. I'll pet home the rest of the litter. I don't care. I just want the home. I just want the one dog.
Right.
I want the one dog I can take leaps and bounds with. Right. One that's gonna definitely progress and contribute to the program. Where Samantha wants, and that's just me speaking, she wants more tight consistency so she can really have options when it comes to the keeper, unless there's a standout,
Right. Well, and she's been breeding through the phases,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they were quite pit bulls when she started, but they were not what they are today by any means.
Right.
So she's experienced enough through the breed that she's seen a pivot, a pivot and a pivot and a pivot. And, I see the stud you guys breed to. Obviously, I see what you're doing. I see what you're trying to do. So, and I'm sure it wasn't quite like that back in the day,
No. Back in the day, only, majority of the time, titled dogs mattered the most, right? Unless a certain dog had an undeniable feature that she wanted to incorporate.
Right. Cool. Mutual respect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, brother, anything else we want to bitch about?
If you ain't in this for the passion of the dogs, exit left.
I agree. You ain't gonna last anyway.
You ain't gonna last anyways. People will eventually see through you and what you're trying to do. Even if we slow down our breeding program, this breed is something we will always continue to have and follow. True definition of companion, like, I don't know, cowboys outside of, you know, Samantha, like that's my fucking best friend. That dog is, he'll go everywhere with me, you know, and that's what you want. That's the true definition of companion. Um, if you don't love your dogs like that, you shouldn't have this breed.
They probably will have favorites.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, everyone
I
has
mean, it's just
everyone has their favorite. You know, you're gonna have multiple dogs, but you'll have a favorite. But you still love
I
all
mean,
your dogs. But
you love all of them. It's like, you know, your friends. You love all your friends or your family, you know,
right,
close people close to you, but there's certain ones that just get you.
right.
They just fucking get you, you know, and that's what Cowboy just gets me, and I get him.
I don't know what is this here. Can we talk about hyping up a dog that just isn't? Well, the thing is if the dog isn't, then that hype doesn't last, goes away, up in smoke. When you see a dog hyped up, but the hype continues, there's something to it.
Mhm.
You can't bullshit this community forever. So if you see a dog that's 4 years old and that dog still got hype behind him, he's doing something.
I mean, and he's probably been outside,
Right.
you know, and multiple people that have some kind of reputation have seen him, put hands on him, and have verified that he's true to what you claim he is. You know,
Right.
hell yeah, Westy, that's my dude. Yeah.
Well, and the other problem, and I'll talk about that hyping thing, another thing too, is because there are a lot of people in our community that have tunnel vision. They have limited vision. And when they see a dog get hyped up, they can't identify why that dog is hype. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Where there are people in the community that understand fully. They understand fully. No, this dog has this problem or this whatever, right? But he does something in a breeding. And there are people in the community that have tunnel vision. They can't see it. They just, all they see is a shitty dog. They don't see the tools that the dog is.
And that's another reason why I will no longer lock in or use a stud I don't see in person unless I trust that breeder. That's the only caveat to that.
Or if people in your circle, you know what I mean? I mean, if I come to you and say, hey, I went to the show and I saw this dog, and maybe I'm a bad example because if I tell you this dog's a shit, then he is really a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you this dog's a shit when I know for sure there's something wrong with him. So, but there are other people that you know that I'm sure if they came to you and they said, oh, that dog's amazing, you'd probably be like, I still got to see him. You know what I mean? I'm still going
right. Well, that for me, like, I want to, I don't know, there's so many like things you can't capture and things that I look for that you might necessarily not look for, and vice versa, right? I want to feel, there's certain dogs that you can feel their presence, right?
Yeah.
Grim was a perfect example of that. You knew when that dog was around. You felt that dog. And there's certain dogs that have done that, you know, for me. And that's how I knew that, like, for me, like you talk to Westy about breeding. He doesn't know why it manifests in his head, right? He gets this sixth sense about a breeding. He's like, that's the one. That's what we're gonna do. And for me, when knowing that's the right stud, I have that sense, that feeling, you know. That's why I'm a huge advocate for seeing these dogs in person.
Yeah.
You know, it's a better return on your investment. You don't have you're not left with any questions. You're not left wondering, you know, is this really the right breeding? I don't know. It's just,
but I have, and I'm about to breed to a dog that I've never seen. But
you trust the breeder?
Yes. I trust not only do that, but I've talked to people that I trust that have seen
Yeah.
it. So in that case, I don't have to see the dog because I know the breeder is an ethical breeder, and he wouldn't bullshit me if I caught, I talked to him on the phone and I say, "What's wrong with this dog?" He'll tell me. He'll say, "This is what I don't like about him. This is what I like about him, and this is what I don't like about him." Right? And then there are people that have seen the dog. There are people that have laid hands on the dog, and that's depending on, as long as they're people I trust, then I'll do it. But if it's a breeder I don't know, the dog I've never seen before, you know what I mean? Then, if you see a lot of dogs, if you were to see a dog and you would come to me and say, "Roger, that dog's legit," like, I'm not, no bullshit, he's a legit dog, I would take your word for it. But there are some people that I can't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's some people I can take their word on certain aspects of a dog. Right. There's certain people I know that if they came to me and they said, "Man, this dog's breed type's on point," I could take that for face value.
Now, do you, when you're listening to these opinions, are you in the back of your head running through the dogs that they have and breed?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Right. Because there are some people that I know that I respect that would come to me and say, "This dog that you're talking about wanting to use, he has breed type. He is every bit of American Bully." Right. If I talk to that same person, I said, "How's that dog structurally?" I can't take for face value what they say because they don't have that's not their focus. They're not going to nitpick a dog to that level. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it is one of those things. It just is what it is. If you're a breed type breeder, am I going to get on the stickler structural conversation with you? No, because he's not going to be that much of a stickler.
I nitpick the parts I want to improve, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense.
But for me, when I see a dog, the positive attributes outweigh the negative for me. I don't see a dog and I only see like some people see a dog and they only fixate on one part or one flaw and they'll throw the whole fucking dog away, which is mind-blowing to me.
Right.
You're going to throw a whole dog away over one flaw. Well, I hate to break it to you. All these dogs have a flaw.
Right.
All of them,
If you refuse to breed, and this, honestly, if you refuse to breed to a stud just because he has a particular flaw, I can guarantee I can tell you what your yard looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As well as I do. You can go to any show and talk to someone for 3 minutes and you can draw a picture of what their yard looks like. Right? Just by the way they talk. It's some people you can have a conversation with them and you have a hard time, right? Because they talk about breed type, but they also talk about structure. You can tell, like, they could have any mixture of dogs in their yard. They could have very structurally sound dogs. They could have very extremely bully dogs with flaws. They could have a mixture of that. But there's some people, just the way they talk, they're right, what Paco said. I want perfection. Well, yes, we all do.
I mean, we all do, but it's
Won't be here anytime soon.
See, that's the thing. There's the balance, right? If you breed to a stud that has an abundance of type, and your female can adjust to what he may lack structurally,
right?
That's a good breeding. But an ideal breeding was breeding 2 dogs that don't lack anything.
Yeah. That's the idea.
That's when you create next level dogs.
But there's just got bad news. There's just that dog ain't out there yet. It ain't.
Yeah.
Every dog has a flaw. Every one of them. Every dog I've ever looked at, there was something I was like,
Yeah. But that doesn't stop, that doesn't stop us from breeding to the dog.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't never stop
Because
me down.
we're the type of people that the positive attributes outweigh any small flaw.
Right.
I see the dog for what it can bring, not for what it lacks. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And not only that, but let's say you breed to that dog and let's say he brings what you needed him to bring, but he also brought some kind of negative. And your next generation, you breed away from that negative. And if that sticks, if what he brought sticks and you get rid of that negative, you're one step closer.
Mm-hmm.
You're one step closer. But for me, I'm a firm believer that if you're breeding clean to clean, to clean to clean, to clean to clean, to clean to clean, you're never going to get there.
You can't, and that, like, I don't know, we've said this many times on probably some of the earlier episodes. A pit bull to a pit bull is only going to produce pit bulls. A classic to a classic is only going to generate more classics, right? How do you get thick bone density from dogs that don't carry bone density?
Right.
How do you fix the head shape if you're breeding dogs that don't have the head shape? Like, you got to step outside the box.
This is true.
You have to.
No, and that's a good point right there. Is any dog of any breed flawless? No, they're not. They really aren't. But we can say that there are dogs like the Beagle. You go to an AKC show and you look at a whole ring full of Beagles. They all look like Beagles. There's no question that you're looking at Beagles. You know what I mean? Same way for the miniature poodles. If you got a whole ring full of miniature poodles, they all look like miniature poodles. You can go to any American Bully show and you're going to see some contrast.
Yeah.
The dogs.
But, if that was your breed, okay, if the golden retriever was your breed and you were at a UKC or AKC show and it was the sport breed was up, right? You, being an enthusiast of that breed, can identify which dog is better than the next.
Westy, go Beagles.
Yeah, see? If that was your passion, if that specific breed, even though they've been a breed for 100 years, if that's what you're enthusiastic about, you could still differentiate the quality from the higher quality ones.
Oh, I'm sure. But but your average Joe, what I'm saying is like
the average Joe, no.
The average Joe, a thing full, it's a ring full of poodles.
Right.
But I think even someone from the outside at this point can still go to an American Bully show and be like, not all these dogs look the same, that. And when we talked to OG Ramos, someone had I think it was a different podcast. We haven't had him on this one yet, but someone said, when is the American Bully done? And OG Ramos said, when all the dogs in the ring, the only variation in them is color.
It's color.
When they all have the same headpiece, when they all have the same muzzle length, when they all have the same amount of bone, when they all have the same back length, when they all have, every aspect of the dogs is not necessarily perfect, but is to the eye at 40 feet, they're all the same dog. The only variation is color.
I think we are at least 50 years from that.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, we've got to thin the herd. When we talked to oh my God, Jamie Sweet, that was a good example. Look how fast the Shorty Bowl progressed, right? Because it was a very tight-knit community of people that were breeding the Shorty Bowl. There weren't that many. Right? We have a huge community. Huge, absolutely huge community. And not everyone's on the same page.
No. And you can't control what other people do.
Exactly.
They're gonna do what they want. Everyone has their own vision. When I mean, in all honesty, in order to bring consistency to this breed, everyone's vision should be the breed standard. You know, that's the only way we're going to make leaps and bounds. If we all breed towards the fucking standard.
Right. Exactly. But so now we're faced with, we have to produce what the community demands, and we have to make it work like the show ring wants it to work.
Right.
Right. And I think there was a time, I think now we're closer to that than we've ever been. We're starting to see dogs that can be out in the community, you know, and people will be like, ah, damn, that's a bull. You know what I mean? But then take that dog in the show ring and it have success.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's blur. We have to blur the line between those two dogs, because there was a time that those were completely different dogs.
Right. Yeah. I think,
Shannon, what could the registry do, to be honest? I mean, you send in your puppy paperwork. What are they going to do? They can't judge every dog to make sure it exactly fits the, you know what I mean? The only thing they can do is limit the dogs when they show up in the ring. That's when they can judge it. But at the end of the day, if it's a registered dog, bred to a registered dog, they're going to put papers on it. That's all they do it. They can't be, you know, and AKC doesn't do that. They don't do that. If you have an AKC registered dog and you breed an AKC registered dog, you're getting AKC papers. That's all there is to it. They don't want to inspect every dog. So no, it's on the community. It's on the breed community to do it.
Right. It's our responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, if we didn't have a registry, we could still have a breed because we have a community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what the registry is there is to give us.
I mean, is
blueprint.
Is Labradoodles an accepted breed? I don't know. I'm just asking. Is a Labradoodle an accepted breed in a registry?
I don't know.
There's a fucking community for it.
That's right.
It's a household name. Everyone knows that there's a dog out there that's a fucking Labradoodle.
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I've done a little bit of homework on Labradoodle because my daughter has one. But I think there's like the only real Labradoodles are the F1s. I think beyond, when you go to second generation, like they don't look like what everybody considers the Labradoodle. So if you have a breed that only really represents the breed, if it's an F1, that makes it kind of tough. Labradoodle is more uniform than the American Bull.
Yeah, because it's two breeds.
Yeah, but they're similarly structured.
Yeah, they're two breeds. The American Bully consists of many breeds.
Many.
So you're going to get a wide variance of genetics. That means your output is going to be very inconsistent. So Malasso Pressa, yes.
What the hell's that? That dog?
That's I believe that's Chad Mayo's breed.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, but Chad Mayo is the only one doing it.
Exactly.
So, of course, I don't know if you've heard Roger mention Jamie Sweet. When she created the Shorty Bull, it was exclusive to what she wanted the breed to look like. Not everyone was allowed to breed those dogs. There was control, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, when the breeder, if you have a closed program and you breed within your closed program, you can develop that dog more strict to your standard. As soon as you cut it out to other people, even though you give them a blueprint, say breed the dog like this, they're going to do it however the fuck they want. Right? And when you have a giant community, I mean, how many members are in some of these Facebook groups? 50, 60, 70,000 members?
100,000.
Right. Nobody's on the same page. Everyone's doing whatever the hell they want to do. You know what I mean? They're not saying there's And we get back to that 3%. There's a 3% group of us that are saying this is what the American bully needs to be. And then some of them are influenced. Trust me, I've been in it long enough that I've seen people that were like, fuck that. That's not the American bully. This is the American bully. That, what you all are doing now is bullshit. Trust me. I've heard it. And now I'm also seeing those same people now breeding more bully dogs, saying, okay, all right, to be successful in the ring, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to add dogs of type. So there are people that are moving and progressing, as a group. Some of us are pushing hard. Some of us are doing it gradually, but there are many of us that are and look at that blueprint and say, I want to build to this blueprint. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that aren't.
Yeah, that's why I feel like 50 years minimum. 50 years, we're not going to see that even a fucking inkling of consistency for 50 years.
Right.
Because it is all up to what we want to do, right? We have full autonomy on what happens in this program. I have full autonomy on what happens in this program.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was more exclusive and you had to be an approved breeder of this breed, then the consistency would it'd get there a lot faster. But
absolutely,
that's not where we're at, That's exactly what I said.
Exactly.
Shannon.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what I said. Right? I don't know if we're arguing the same argument.
Yeah. What we're going to find out is individual programs will achieve it. You will find individual programs that will begin to breed the exact same dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then those individual programs will eventually have to only work with each other to maintain it. Right. So essentially, the breeders are eliminating all the other breeders by closing their doors, except for working with individuals that breed to the mission. Is basically, I feel like what's going to happen.
Yeah, but it's not going to. I'm just going to be honest and real. It's not
I'm not interested in work. I got a small list of people I'm willing to work with. At the end of the day. I think I've made enough friends in the industry at this point that I can say, okay, I'm going to limit who I work with. Now, there could be an exception. A guy could pop out of nowhere. I've been breeding for 12 years now. I never heard of you before. I'm sorry. But, and he could have amazing dogs, and that could be someone I could add. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, I'm at the point now where I'm not going to do a Google search and find a guy, and he showed me a picture of a badass stud, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take a puppy. I'm beyond.
Right.
I'm beyond that.
Yeah, that's why. Like, hopefully in 100 years, it's every dog in the show ring looks the same. Yeah. Other than color, but pattern.
So right now, your responsibility as a breeder is to build the foundation. You will not see in your lifetime, everybody on this watching the show right now, you're going to be dead as a doornail before this dog is done. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen in your lifetime. Your responsibility is to get like-minded with some other breeders and build a foundation for other people to work to breed, to refine. But we got to give them a foundation to work with.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, folks. Well, it's 9:00. I'm sure Han's hungry and he has dogs to feed and take care of. And I'm sure there's somebody waiting right outside the door right now. Like, would she shut the fuck up so I can get in there and check on these puppies?
They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. Is that the what do they call them? What is it? They're not bullies, right? The Chihuahua. Yeah, that's the Chihuahua litter. Mom's like, I got this. I don't need you.
Oh yeah, I've never seen a dog so happy to be licking shit off puppy. I've never seen a dog happier to
Thank
do
you,
that.
Gary. I got you, Shannon.
So, appreciate you, Gary.
Yeah.
Oh no, Shannon, it's all great info. Everyone's got their views on how the community should be and how do we strive to better the breed.
But at the end of the day, if it's shit like this, all sitting down for a community conversation and getting people on the same page is the only reason I'm doing this at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like I found that I'm like-minded with a lot of people. And if I can get on here and, Han and I can get on here and we can get everybody on the same page, breeding in the same direction, we get there quicker. And
but
this is just one step.
We're not all going to.
Yeah, we are.
No matter how loud our voice is,
Don't be such
and how much people we reach, people are just going to do what they want, and that's okay. That's okay.
But
the breed will progress with or without them.
Right. But if we
the breed will progress with or without me.
If we can help a few individuals, Joe Mills, very new. He's on here every week. If we can give him, if we can put him on the right path as a new breeder, which obviously he's done a ton of homework on his own, but if we can get him in the right direction, then this is all worth it, even if it's just one person.
Yeah, that's true. And shout out to Joe, man. He's been fucking every week.
If we can get Jack some ramps in the meantime.
Oh shit.
All right, guys, I appreciate you. If you would do me a favor, give the show a like, give the show a share before you check out. We would appreciate you greatly.
Yes, please do.
All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. Later.
Thanks.
Bum, bum.